Welcome back to another Purpose Served podcast episode. I'm your legendary host, Daryl Wingfield. It's like, nah, I always got to start off with some sort of gas. But we back with another one. Forever and always, I think everybody that's been listening, um, week by week, well, not even week by week, to be quite honest, I've been slacking with that. It should be weekly delivery for you guys with every podcast episode, but at this point, if you guys been tuning in, you guys know that I've been wrapped up with a lot of things. I got a full time job. I'm working on Purpose Served, and I'm started training for like the last, I want to say, 2 or 3 months to play basketball again. So it's been a lot. I've been physically drained, mentally drained, um, and still just trying to be there for the people that's close to me. But at the same time, I do enjoy doing these podcasts. I'm not even gonna lie. Um, I told you guys this before. It's very therapeutic for me, and also it's probably therapeutic for you guys as well. And it's still moments where I have where it's just like, oh my God, man, I can't believe, you know, that people are actually listening to this, and that goes to show and tell me that I'm probably doing something right. Probably, I don't know, but all in all, I really thank you guys for that, and being patient with me. I hope you guys enjoy this content. And for everybody that's new to this is your first time listening, welcome to the Purpose Served podcast experience. And here, the vibe is to innovate and improve the human experience um, in practical means, in any practical way that you possibly can. Do things that, you enjoy. Uh, the thing that I'm noticing in the world that's very overlooked and people are having a hard time doing is, you know, um, using their hobbies, things that, the world deem as recreational. For example, me playing basketball, um, as a means to like create a fulfilled life, and what do I mean by that? A couple podcasts ago, I talked about, you know, young adults and the problems that, young adults are facing in this day and age, especially in America. And there's a huge, huge disconnect. And I found myself using that word a lot. And the disconnect comes from, what they feel like who they are, you know, is it's not meeting up to the world needs, and they got to change who they are in order to, you know, look presentable to society, in a way. And people are struggling with that like crazy right now. And for me, it feels like it's my duty and my job to get people to lean into whatever it is that makes them special and unique, and bring that out into the world and integrate that into the world instead of shying away from it and just pretty much doing whatever you need to do to get by, essentially survive. That's what it is turning into. We got all of these things that's, helpful for us, but I talked about as well on the previous podcast ago how we as human beings misuse tools, you know, um, and that's been going on for a really, really long time. It's not like it just started happening, you know. It's been happening, for a while now. And I always use this simple example of a knife and what people use inanimate objects for is to serve whatever intent, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, whatever they feel like doing in that moment. And ultimately, that's that knife is like our purpose in a sense. And it's like, how do we use this, you know, on the outside? And I lastly talked about the whole, essentially, the purpose served universe, going from, this roadmap. Um, this goal, this vision that you have, and how do you construct a life to sustain this goal and how to accomplish this goal. This has pretty much been the breakdown as of recently within these last couple podcast episodes. And firstly, I talk about what the roadmap is, and the roadmap is essentially the breakdown of your goal into three parts, and that's having a vision um, for your purpose and having a destination for your vision, which is essentially your purpose. And the third requirement is that journey from that vision to the destination, and oftentimes the biggest things from a lot of the books that I've read that almost comes across as like a novel, the hero's journey narrative. It's always somebody going out to see something that's outside of themselves, but the calling came from within first, and that's a lot of our lives, and that's why we resonate with Marvel movies. That's why that's like a big commodity because we see a lot of these superhuman figures, these gods within ourselves. That's why they resonate with us a lot, and a lot of it can show us what we're missing in today's society. And I'm reading that book, A Hero with a Thousand Faces again by Joseph Campbell, and I think I talked about this on the last podcast, the difference between myth and dream, how Joseph Campbell broke it down. And the myth is the problems that humans we've been facing since the beginning of time, and the many battles and trials and tribulations that our ancestors had to go through, that a lot of us are still going through to this day, and stories that get passed out down through time on how we got there, how we stumbled upon there, the mistakes that we made, and how we can overcome it. And that's very, very important of hero movies is because at the end of the day, it gives you an idea, it gives you tools and through symbolism of storytelling of how to conquer these inner problems that we go through. Oftentimes with the hero, the the protagonist, the which is the hero, and the person that's the adversary, the antagonist, is a direct representation of themselves in a way, And oftentimes, this antagonist brings out the negative side of the protagonist as well. That's like really, really dormant that they got to battle, you know, while facing this antagonist, this villain, this demon, quote unquote. And the trick of it with them is, can they balance their heroic behaviors without, destroying those that's close to them or destroying the people that they care about, and also try to save the antagonist as well. That's ultimately what the battle is, and we learn through that. And that same story gets told in different ways throughout history, depending on the time period, the location, and that's essentially what the book is about. Now, the journey. The coal system is essentially a way that um, Purpose Served, here at Purpose Served, we break down the way that you can integrate that purpose that you have into the world, into society. And based off of the last podcast episode, Be Authentic, I talk about the four sides of the Purpose Served pyramid and how to get a base foundation for yourself to practice well-being and wellness, and the avenues for your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, financial well-being, and social well-being. And the last one that I left off with is social well-being, and that's in a way of how do you express yourself? How do you go about connecting with others? How do you go about, playing your identity into the world? And through this COLE system, the acronym COLE is competition, organization, learning, and expression. And expression is at the cornerstone of this whole entire Cole system. And think of this as a means of a playground for your purpose. And personally, how this came about was something of personal experience where I experienced all four through me playing basketball, going on my basketball journey of, the becoming a professional basketball player and still being on that journey right now as we speak. And the one that I came in direct contact with due to the fact that Mons is dealing with sports and competition can come through almost any avenue that you're going down on, whether that be uh, you dealing with promotions for your job, you applying for jobs, and other people are applying for that same exact job position, and they're only going to pick one. That's competition, essentially speaking. But dealing with that directly firsthand with basketball, that goes hand in hand with expression. That's why I say expression is at the cornerstone for this Cole system, because at the end of the day, you're through organization, you will be expressing yourself, whether that's you being a part of a group, whether that's you being the leader of a group, an event, or workshop. Um, you're expressing yourself and learning. That's the very, very same thing. And learning is definitely more than competition. Competition and learning, I would want to say, is more so on a difficult end of this Cole system rather than it is organization and expression, due to the fact that you're directly meeting with confrontational things. And I'll be getting more into that as I go along. But yeah, so pretty much like I said, the Cole system is a playground for your purpose, and essentially it's for your journey. And it can also be a means as a destination for your roadmap, depending on how you use this Cole system. And all in all, going back to the purpose served pyramid, this is for your physical well being. And like I keep iterating here, is the goal is to integrate your purpose along your journey and to also nurture it so you can develop a foundation for, a means for your journey to keep going, keep going. This is also could be a means to give you a setting for your purpose. And you can use, like I said, the competition part, in a way where it's not detrimental to your mindset, not detrimental to your mental well being, in a way where you're competing to be better than you was yesterday. And for me, I broke down my workouts here. But for those of you that's new, like currently, now that I'm full fledged training, I'm training typically 3 hours a day, and my training consists of me working out pretty much for like an hour, 10 minutes of me being in the weight room, and I'm learning a lot from my trainer as well, which is somebody that's hand in hand helping me with my business as well. But the goal is to condition my body to be in mid-season. Um, so the whole general purpose and the vision for my personal roadmap is to have my body be ready for in-game season, to be thrown in the game and still be ready to play. And in order for that to happen, um, I have to pretty much have a POA, a plan of action, and I talked about that on a previous podcast episode with the five-step plan of action. And right now, my five-step plan of action is to put the things that I've been training for to the test these last couple of months, pretty much so I can start playing professionally within the next year, possibly next September. That's what I'm training for. That's the destination. The vision is what I told you. So the immediate destination for me is coming up in these next couple of weeks. I'm going to be playing in a showcase through Pure Passion Sports, through Sean Mills that I had on this podcast that pretty much is the reason why Purpose Served came about. Um, Shout out to him. But I'm preparing for that and the many things that's coming along the way after January to meet that destination. But that's a part of my journey is what's coming up in January. That's not the end all be all, but it's a part of the journey and it's a part of the cool system. So in essence, that showcase is the element of competition, and through that competition, I can express myself through the things that I've been training with. So for example, going back to that POA, if you guys have been listening, um, you guys know that the first place is for the five requirements. The first one is the destination. So the destination for me will be Orlando, and in January. Um, Second, tools and resources that I need. You know, I had to get a plane ticket to go out there. Um, I need a gym to practice in. I need a basketball. Um, these are all of the things that's the tools and resources that I need in order for me to make it to my destination and to make sure um, I perform well at this destination, do well at this destination. Third is a time. So the time is already established due to the fact that it's an event. The event has a time and a date. So that makes it that much easier for this POA system. This can be different from anybody, but I'm just using myself as an example to help paint the picture for you guys for whatever it is that you guys got going on. Um, so yeah, that brings us to number four: consistency, being persistent towards this destination, and that's where my training comes into play, and that leads me to talk about what I do for my training, like hour in the weight room. I go after it for at least an hour in the weight room, whether I'm doing back and buys, legs, abs is mandatory, um, triceps, chest, and it's even set up through my trainer that if I can't make it to the gym, I can still get a workout in at home because I wanted to put it in a way where there's no excuses. You know, if I had the resources to be getting after at any given moment, that's kind of how I look to set this up. And essentially, through things like this, I apply the same type of thing to Purpose Served when it's all said and done. You know what I mean? Outside the context of basketball. Also, um, it helps my mindset. It gives me focus. It gives me clarity, and it sets the tone for my days. You know what I mean? I know what I'm doing, and I know why I'm doing it, and I know when the day is going to come when I'm going to need to show up and use what I've been preparing for. And number five for this is adjustment. So when that day comes and I don't meet the criteria that I set for myself, then it's back to the drawing board. And that's why this core system is very, very important for your journey, essentially speaking, with the breakdown for your vision, your journey, and your destination. But the POA is helpful for the vision, to help you formulate a plan to essentially get it done. So number three, I'm going back and forth between the 5-step plan of action, the POA, and the COLE system. But going back to the COLE system, this it has a lot to do with the third one, um, organization. So I talked about so far, no, two. Please forgive me. But going back to the COLE system, the cornerstone of it, like I said, is expressing yourself through the three avenues. So learning is one of them. That's acquiring new knowledge and understanding about your purpose, and you can do that through school, your skill that you're learning, the hobbies that you're learning, whatever recreational activities that you're getting into, you can apply that mode through your purpose. What I was just talking about is essentially competing to be better than what you was yesterday through basketball, and that's when I threw in that 5 step plan of action of how I'm doing that through competition. And this leads to a third one, which I was going to talk about for the Cole system, which is for organization, and it's the master the art of cooperation with another individual or group for the greater good for humanity. And this can be in a form of think tanks. This can be in a form of the people that you work with. This can be in a form of through me playing sports, the team that I'm playing on. How do you bring the best out of others through what you do, and also what is understanding what the main agenda is through your purpose, through your vision, and people can do that, at work, at school, with their family. All of these things is universal concepts that you can apply to any walk of life uh, that you're doing. At the end of the day, everything for purpose served and all of these things is to help you practice personal growth, personal development, um, to live a healthier, happier life, and battle all the shortcomings that's inevitable, that's going to come. And ultimately, at Purpose Service is giving you the resources to do that. If you're halted with, how to integrate your purpose, where do you have to go in order for your purpose to thrive? If I wanted to be a good basketball player, I'm not going to find that in an art studio. I'm not going to find that in a library. I'm not going to find that on a football field. I'm not going to find that on Netflix. I'm going to find that on the basketball court, being amongst basketball players. And this is to help you gain clarity for your purpose. And I have to read you guys what purpose means. I'm big on definitions. I'm really, really big on definitions and knowing what something actually means. So, purpose means the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. That's what purpose means. The reason, for which something exists, something is done or created. Reason, intention. You don't want to do things intentionally. And you're feeling a lot of people, I can't necessarily say specifically you, but you can relate most likely, or people that can relate to this feeling of not living the life on intention and doing a lot of things unintentionally. Time adds up. And aimlessly going through life, you can get to a point where you realize, where did the time go? You can get to a point where you start to see and you start to understand, like, where did the time go? What have I been really doing? And that puts us in a rat race, that puts us in a rut. And oftentimes anxiety starts brewing under this thing. Sadness starts brewing under this thing. You start to honestly get depressed. I gotta really start using these words and throw them out there just to really, really be honest and clear, because a lot of you guys have trouble doing that for yourself. I have trouble doing that with myself from time to time. But through these podcasts, through doing different things, it helps me understand myself. And going on the last one, the purpose served pyramid, that's essential for all of this. You don't want to negate what you're feeling on the inside, but you also don't want to act like the stuff on the outside doesn't matter. You know, I think that's the problem with woke culture. It's just that it's like this idea that, quote unquote, we're living in the matrix and nothing isn't as it seems. Yeah, it isn't, but it's right in front of your face. It's directly in front of your face, and we tend to overcomplicate every single thing. That's been the issue, and the money and the power, honestly, is that people who can simplify complex things. So if you can do that for your own self, it goes a long, long, long way. In essence, think about your adding richness to yourself and the way that you're living life. You don't want to overcomplicate your decision making, like going to the supermarket and you're hungry, but you don't know what to get, but you're hungry. But you're surrounded by nothing but food. We live like that due to the fact that we have access to so much. Simplify your life. And for Purpose Served and a Purpose Served universe, I want to give you guys the tools to simplify your life and live a life on well-being, live a life on intention, and having simple ways to create that for yourselves and avenues that you can go about expressing that, because you're very, very special. You're full of so much potential, and it's not going to be easy. This whole system that I'm talking about, it sounds good, but once you throw yourself out there, especially with me playing basketball, the ultimate thing that basketball has taught me is that everything is a process. Just like the sun has to go up and go down. It has to move away at some point from the earth. It has to come closer. There's a time and a place for everything, and that's essentially the meaning for purpose. And we all have to know that for ourselves. And I'm trying to find my own rhythm, my own timing and pacing for how I align with the universe and the man upstairs, man. My personal belief, God and what God created me for, And it's important that whatever it is that you're feeling, man is missing spirit right now. So bring that spirit back to man with whatever it is that vision that you've been blessed with, the outside source. Express it, and the help will come. The help definitely will come, and I learned that through my journey with playing basketball, feeling at first that I was alone, man, and I wasn't. There's been people along the way to guide me, and as long as I stayed true to myself, and that was hard. And I went through a lot of ups and downs. It wasn't a straight line. It still isn't a straight line, but I truly love the game. I love what I do, and I love what it taught me about myself, ultimately speaking. And I learned at the end of the day, the world is bigger than basketball. And if I didn't learn that, Purpose Served would not exist. So find that purpose. My purpose was playing basketball. It still kind of is. But I'm learning how to help others through that. You know what I mean? But that's the Cole system. You can find the Cole system in the description below. I thank you guys for listening. We're coming to an end of another podcast episode. Yeah, the Cole system is going to be down below. There's a link to the website. It's on a website, and the 4 different ways that you can apply your purpose, integrate your purpose into the world around you, into your community. Start doing it today. Time is of the essence. The Purpose Served Pyramid is in the description below. Become a member today of the Purpose Served community. That's in the description below to have access to ideas pertaining to art, fitness, the environment, wellness, education, community. Open to creativity. The goal for Purpose Served, the vision for Purpose Served, is to have educational and employment opportunities for your hobbies, your creative endeavors, because it's possible. It's underlooked right now, and for young adults, that's very, very important to hear, because we have to set the tone for the generation that's soon and quickly to come after us. That's why I say time is of the essence. The people before us laid the foundation. We have to build upon that. And also, everything is changing. Everything is going to be forever new. So don't get stuck in the past. Be here right now and move with the times to be able to have a better and brighter future. You know, you can make a difference. You can make a difference. Um, I love you guys, man. Yet again, thank you. Download the podcast. We're close to 1,000 downloads, so share the podcast. Bring up some of the things that I bring up in this podcast, whether you agree with them, disagree with them. See what other people think. Um, and yeah, I would love to connect with you guys through the Purpose Served community. I might start using the Wisdom app. So if you want to talk to me directly, ask me direct questions, use the Wisdom app. Download it. It's pretty much a connecting audio website where people have conversations, all types of conversations from dating, life coaching, entertainment, sports, that you can find it all on the Wisdom app. And also I'm going to be putting a link in the description for the Wisdom app down below. I'm one of the top mentors on the Wisdom app. So please feel free to ask me questions, get in conversations with me if you feel like talking to a person like me. That's it. Serve your purpose. Treat the purpose like the goal and take action towards it. You know what I mean? Serve it. Take action towards your goal. Serve your purpose. Love y'all.